नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्दस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्दस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्दस्सा। इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति। नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं। बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम। बुद्धं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। स्वाख्यातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको अकालिको कहिपस्सिको वपनायको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति। नमो तस्स नियानिकस्य धम्मस्सा। ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च विदुत्तमं। धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम। धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो। यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अट्टपुरुषपुद्गला येषा भगवतो सावकसंगो। आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकसाति। नमो तस्स अट्ट आर्यपुद्गला महासंगसा। ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमम्। संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम। संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। उपत्ति पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब भयं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुकदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तङ्कं बनामहे। समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजसा सुनन्तु सद्गमोक्तदन्। धम्मस्सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मस्सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता परितस्सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहत सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा कुरुषु विहरति कम्मासदं नाम कुरूनं निगमो तत्र को भगवा भिक्खु अमन्तेसि भिक्खवोति वदन्तेति ते भिक्खु भगवतो पच्चसोऽसुं भगवाये तदवोचा। एकायनो अयं भिक्खवे मग्गो सत्तानं विशुद्धिया शोक परिदेवानां समत्तिकमाया दुःख दोमनस्सानां अट्टङ्गमाया न्यायस्साधिगमाया निब्बानस्य सच्चिक्रियाया इदं चत्तारो सतिपट्टाना। कतमे चत्तारो इदा भिक्खवे भिक्खु काये कायानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा विनय्य लोके अभिज्जा दोमनस्सं वेदनासु वेदनानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा विनय्य लोके अभिज्जा दोमनस्सं चित्ते चित्तानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा विनय्य लोके अभिज्जा दोमनस्सं धम्मेषु धम्मानुपस्सी विहरति आतापि संपजानो सतीमा विनय्य लोके अभिज्जा दोमनस्सं। कथंचपन भिक्खवे भिक्खु काये कायानुपस्सी विहरति इद भिक्खवे भिक्खु अरण्यगतो वा रुक्कमूलगतो वा शून्यागारगतो वा निसीदति पल्लङ्कं आभुजित्वा उजुं कायं पणिदाय परिमुखं सतिं पट्टापेत्वा सो सतो वा सत्सति सतो वपस्सति दीगं वा अससंतो दीगं अससामीति पजानाति दीगं वा पससंतो दीगं पससामीति पजानाति रसं वा अससंतो रसं अससामीति पजानाति रसं वा पससंतो रसं पससामीति पजानाति सब्बकाय पटि संवेदी अससामीति सिक्खति सब्बकाय पटि संवेदी पससामीति सिक्खति पसंग भयंकाय संकारं अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति पसंग भयंकाय संकारं पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति सयता विभिक्खवे दक्खो बमकारो वा बमकारन्ते वासी वा दीगं वा अंचन्तो दीगं अंचामीति पजानाति रसं वा अंचन्तो रसं अंचामीति पजानाति एवमेव को भिक्खवे भिक्खु दीगं वा अससंतु दीगं असस्सामीति पजानाति दीगं वा पससंतु दीगं पसस्सामीति पजानाति रसं वा अससंतु रसं असस्सामीति पजानाति रसं वा पससंतु रसं पसस्सामीति पजानाति सब्बकाय पटि संवेदी अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति सब्बकाय पटि संवेदी पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति पसंग भयंकाय संकारं अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति पसंग भयंकाय संकारं पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति इति अज्जत्तं वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति बहिद्धा वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति अज्जत् बहिद्धा वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति समुदय धम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति वयधम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति समुदय वयधम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति अत्ति कायोति वापनस्य सतिपच्चुपत्तिटा होति यावदेव ज्ञानमत्ताय पठिष्यति मत्ताय अनिश्चितो च विहरति न च किंचि लोके उपादीयते एवं पिको भिक्खवे भिक्खु काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति पुनः च परं भिक्खवे भिक्खु गच्छन्तो वा गच्छामीति पजानाति तिटो वा तिटोमीति पजानाति निसिन्नो वा निसिन्नोमीति पजानाति शयानो वा शयानोमीति पजानाति यथा यथा वा पनस्य कायो पणिहितो होति तथा तथा न पजानाति इति अज्जत्तं वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति बहिद्धा वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति अज्जत् बहिद्धा वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति समुदय धम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति वयधम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति समुदय वयधम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति अत्ति कायोति वा पनस्य सतिपच्चुपत्तिटा होति यावदेव ज्ञानमत्ताय पठिष्यति मत्ताय अनिश्चितो च विहरति न च किंचि लोके उपादीयते एवं पिको भिक्खवे भिक्खु काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति पुनश्च परं भिक्खवे भिक्खु अभिक्कमन्ते पटिक्कन्ते संपजानकारी होती आलोकिते विलोकिते संपजानकारी होती समिंजिते पसारिते संपजानकारी होती संगाति पट्टचिवर धारणे संपजानकारी होती असिते पीते खाइते साइते संपजानकारी होती उच्चार पश्चावत कम में संपजानकारी होती गते थिटे निसिन्ने सुत्ते जागरिते भासिते तुन्ही भावे संपजानकारी होती इति अज्जत्तं वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति बहिद्धा वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति अज्जत् बहिद्धा वा काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति समुदय धम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति वयधम्मानुपस्सि वा कायस्मिन् विहरति समुदय वयधम्मानुपस्सि वा वायस्मिन् कायस्मिन् विहरति अत्ति कायोति वा पनस्य सतिपच्चुपत्तिटा होति यावदेव ज्ञानमत्ताय पठिष्यति मत्ताय अनिश्चितो च विहरति न च किंचि लोके उपादीयते एवं पिको भिक्खवे भिक्खु काये कायानुपस्सि विहरति एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सुखिनो होतु सर्वदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जय मंगलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रत्नत्रयं सभित्यो विवज्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवत्वन्तरायो सुखीदीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्घानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते इमिना पुण्याकम्पेन मामे बालसमागमो सतं समागमो होतु यावन्निब्बानपत्या इदं मे पुण्याकम्मं आसवक्कयं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बानसम्पत्तयो होतु साधु साधु। So this chanting, today's chanting is about this mindfulness. Buddha highlighted the importance of mindfulness. Sati, it is called sati. In Buddha's language, Pali language, mindfulness is sati. Buddha gives so much importance to this. So he says, once you establish correctly in the right mindfulness, that's it. Then you are free from uh, all kinds of soka parideva, means all kind of stress, all kinds of distress, all kinds of mental, say, health issues. Soka parideva, dukkha domanasa. All these things are the different mental, say, issues, mental health issues. Can become free from this, all kinds of mental issues, if you correctly understand and practice the 4 kinds of mindfulness. If you establish in these 4 kinds of mindfulness, then you can be free from all kinds of mental stress and distress, all kinds of mental health issues. That's what is the assurance, and that's very much absolutely it works in each and every human's life, being's life. I can say very confidently that this works. But what are the conditions? To thoroughly understand these 4 kinds of mindfulness, and you should establish in these 4 kinds of mindfulness. It's easy, not very difficult. So many people practice so many things to come out of the distress, stress, anxiety, worry, fear, tension. But if you thoroughly understand and practice and establish in these 4 kinds of Satipatthana, called say establishing in the Sati mindfulness. So if you Patthana means establishing, just get fixed in it. In which one? In mindfulness. If you get fixed in these 4 kinds of mindfulness, that's it. You can be free from all kinds of mental health issues. Not just that. You can, that is the way to achieve liberation also. That is the way to remove all your mental defilements also. And that is the way to liberation also. That's what is the assurance. First, it has Ekayana Madhva. Means this is the only path. Establishing in this mindfulness authoritatively and say, liberating the mind from all kinds of stress and distress, and thereby dissolving the mental defilements like greed, hatred, so many mental defilements. Last time I explained different kinds of mental defilements like jealousy, like shamelessness, moral shamelessness, possessiveness, dullness, laziness, boredom, restlessness, confusion, doubt. All these things are mental defilements. In addition to greed, hatred, delusion. So all these things also you can just start dissolving, start say decimating also. And that's the way to liberation. It's not just achieving mental health. Of course, that's what people now at this juncture who wants liberation. But still, if some people want liberation, then they should know that this is the way, not just to achieve absolute mental health, and this is the way to get the ultimate happiness, ultimate peace. That is nothing but the nibbana, or liberation, or enlightenment, whatever you are aspiring. If you want to get it, then this is the basic. This you should understand. These 4 stages, 4 steps, 4 kinds of mindfulness you should understand. But today we will confine to our topic, that is how the mental health issues can be fixed with this mindfulness. First of all, we should understand these 4 kinds of mindfulness, and we should understand a little bit elaborately about these 4 kinds of mindfulness and how in our different courses, different meditation levels, how we are working on this in a very authoritative way, and thereby how these courses are also very, very significant in fixing the mental health issues. How this kind of authoritative mind culture or mindfulness techniques will help you to fix all these mental health issues. And then you should understand what exactly is mental health issues, what exactly is mental health, and what are the different say ways and means that people go away from mental health, fall into these mental disorders, mental illnesses. That also one should understand. Just like these four noble truths that you have understood, to understand suffering and the cause of suffering will give some insights into mental peace. The same way, you should understand what is happiness and what are the causes for happiness. So it gives complete picture to handle your mind, to keep away the suffering and the cause of suffering, to develop, to cultivate happiness and the cause of happiness. Thereby, you can have complete mind control, complete or the art and science of establishing in happiness. That complete picture you will get. The same way, you should know what is mental health, why people fall into mental illnesses, mental disorders. The reason also you should know, is it not? What is mental health and what is the reason for the mental health issues? That also you should know. And then its solution. So what is mindfulness and what are the different ways and means to achieve mindfulness? So that is the comprehensive approach, integrated approach. That is right approach. Knowing the negative aspects, the positive aspects, knowing the causes for negative aspects, knowing the causes for positive aspects. That way, if you look at any situation, any problem and the solution, then you are the wise person. That is a way to look at the things. So in that way, we will understand this mental disorders, mental health issues, the overall perspective. And of course, a few things will just touch the different aspects of mental health. Maybe in future talks, we will see, say, a few more aspects of mental health disorders, different kinds of mental health disorders. Sometime back, we discussed about anxiety and depression. Today also maybe a few things we will see. But overall picture, we should see in today's talk. The overall idea about mental health issues, the causes, and then the solution, the overall mindfulness, different ways of mindfulness, and how to establish in mindfulness. Those things also, if you see, then you will get confidence in working out, in understanding and working out, practicing these mindfulness techniques. Of course, that has been done, that has been practiced by all of you in all these different levels of meditation training programs, level 1 to levels that we are learning and practicing. But still, a little more theoretical aspects about these courses in an authoritative way, given by Buddha, given by, say, different masters. So those things also we will see today. So that is today's topic, that is the mental health and mindfulness. Now, before going into this discourse that I have chanted now, it is called Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Satipatthana, as I told you, establishing in mindfulness, the foundation of mindfulness, or how to get established in the mindfulness. What are the different ways and means to establish in mindfulness? So that discourse has been repeated several times in the scriptures. But an elaborate description of this mindfulness, it is explained or it is described in this Mahasatipatthana. Aham is like major, like elaborated explanation of this Satipatthana, establishing in the mindfulness that is explained in this. That we will see part by part. Today, of course, I could chant only a few verses, some part of this, because it is very elaborate. So maybe in future talks also we will see these different parts of this Satipatthana, establishing mindfulness. And today we will focus about how this mindfulness is really helpful in handling this mental health issues. Now the modern world is very much affected by these mental health disorders. It has become a great concern now, as I used to say from past several months or maybe years also. It's because of the pandemic, the lifestyle and our belief systems and everything, and of course, in all aspects, whether it's economic or social, or whether it is say family, relations, individual, professional, All these aspects, in all these fields, there is a complete change, a complete deviation. Because of that forced change, people are undergoing a lot of health issues, mental health issues especially. And of course, as mind and body are highly related, it will definitely affect the physical health also. So, understanding these mental health issues and knowing the causes for these mental disorders or mental illnesses or mental health issues, and how authoritatively to apply these mindfulness techniques to fix these mental health issues. This is very, very crucial as far as my understanding. This is the only way, in a way, say, if you want me to generalize the solution for mental health, I can say understanding these concepts of mindfulness authoritatively. And of course, there are so many unauthoritative techniques to fix the mental health. But now, mental health issue is so deep, so profound. All these unauthoritative, superficial, some say belief oriented, some blind belief oriented, or even some the medications, the medicines, not very authoritative. As far as my understanding, very authoritative technique of mindfulness, especially if you practice it in a right way, the right mindfulness technique, in an authoritative, integrated way. That is the only solution. Just like Buddha say assures, this is the only way to achieve Nibbana, and also of course he mentions this is the only way to fix your soka, parideva, dukkha, domanas, all this stress, distress, lamentation, worry, grief, tension in the mind. All these things can be authoritatively fixed. That is first assurance, and also you assure that is the way to liberate your mind from the defilements and get enlightenment. So if these two assurances are given, at least the first one you should practice. You should look into the first one, how these mental health issues can be handled by this mindfulness techniques, and that should motivate you, inspire you to understand mindfulness authoritatively and practice authoritatively. So that is the idea of today's Dhammapala. Now, coming to what is this mental health and what are the different kinds of mental health issues, and what are the main cause for these mental health issues that we should see, then we will appreciate the concept of mindfulness in tackling this, in handling this. Okay, so so you might have heard of so many mental health issues. So last time also we have seen there's something called anxiety and depression. So when you see any of these mental health issues, I can list hundreds of mental health issues. Like there's something called bipolar, there's something called mood swings. The mood is highly positive, highly motivated, highly enthusiastic. Sometimes the mood, sometimes it is opposite, completely depressed, completely say it is like it is stepped back, and it is dull, it is boring. This is called mood swings. The same thing is bipolar also, almost more or less the same thing. Of course, these scientists, these psychologists, and the doctors, they try to give so many names, so many kinds of mental health issues. So many. I just went through now for some 10-15 minutes about what is this medical approach, medical perspective towards this mental health. And they give so many universities, so many associations, medical associations, so many doctors. They understand this mental health in so many ways. They give so many terminologies, abbreviations, like ADHD, they say, like OCD, they say, like even the solutions also, even the therapy also. There's so many kinds of therapies they talk about. But if you see the different mental health issues, you can just see the mind is either depressed, low energy, completely stepped back from the activities, from living the life. And other extreme that you see in almost all of these mental health issues. The one extreme is this, other extreme is mind becomes hyperactive, because of again say fear or say worry or and also that is negative thing, and even because of excitement or hope or enthusiasm, that will also make your mind restless, hyperactive. So that's how the mind either falls into low or it goes to high. So mind swings between this high and low. And if these things, of course, in everyone's life, this kind of little bit of swinging is there, wobbling is there, the mind between high and low. But if these things go uncontrolled, then it becomes a mental health issue. If the swings of the mind between this high and low, if it goes uncontrolled, you can't bring it back to the normalcy, to the equanimity, to the balance. If you can't strike that balance with control, with understanding, whatever technique you may follow, if it goes uncontrolled, then it becomes a mental health issue. If the worry, if it goes uncontrolled, it becomes anxiety and it becomes a mental health issue. If you are overconfident, sometimes if it goes uncontrolled, then it becomes a delusion, it becomes a hallucination, then it becomes schizophrenia. That's one kind of disease, one kind of schizophrenia. That way, if some of these feelings or say thoughts, thought processes, or emotions, whether they make you dull, whether they make you, whether they take you to high levels, enthusiastic or high energy levels, consciously, if you go high, if you fall into low, it's okay. But if it becomes unconscious, if it becomes uncontrolled, then it becomes a mental health issue. Then it becomes mental disorder. Then it becomes mental illness. Because of a lot of competition, a lot of comparison, a lot of say force we are putting to show ourselves into this development, in the name of development, or in the name of success, in the name of achievement. So uncontrolledness is going on in individuals' ability to handle the mind. They are not in a position to handle the mind because of competition, because of inner push that we are giving to our mind, and also the push that we are getting from the outside. So, of course, those things we will see, but this is the main reason. So, what is the main reason? If these lows and highs in the mind, if they go uncontrolled, then it ends up in all these different kinds of mental health issues. Even many kinds of autism also, because of this kind of uncontrolledness, which comes again because of our defilements, our ambition, or comparison, or jealousy. So, in that way, you'll understand the different mindfulness techniques. Also, other techniques other than mindfulness. If you practice them, it will have an impact on your mindfulness, and thereby you can fix the mental health. So they can't be classified under mindfulness. But if you practice the other techniques, automatically your mindfulness levels will increase. And because of the higher mindfulness or improved high mindfulness levels, you can fix your mental health issues. In that way, whatever techniques you practice, they culminate in improved mindfulness. They end up in the improved mindfulness. And even because of this improved mindfulness only, you are fixing your mental health issues. So any other, say, short-term or say some kind of medications or some kind of faith-oriented, which are nothing but sometimes it may be unmindful also. Those techniques or those medications, it may help you to come out of mindfulness, but they can't be authoritative approaches to come out of the mental health issues. Mental health issues, it requires, as far as my understanding, a holistic approach, the integrated approach. If you do some hodgepodge, say medication or hodgepodge approach or some kind of half-hearted or some kind of temporary approach to handle these mental health issues, then maybe for some time you feel like the mind may go to the other extreme. If it is very anxious, it may become dull for some time. That's all. Then you feel that anxiety has gone. But other extreme, other problem has started. Other mental health problem has started. So in that way, of course, so if you mindfully again skillfully balance with these medications, but that is only partial. If you want to handle it thoroughly, completely, then this holistic approach, integrated approach through mindfulness, through these mind culture techniques, that is the authoritative thing. Of course, that has been now practiced in several psychotherapy institutions, and those things also we will see. So there are so many other issues like this addictions, insomnia, ADHD, and substance abuse. There's so many things that people have started listing about these mental health issues, and all of them, if you see, say, if you generalize those things, the mind either falls into the high levels of energy and high levels of, say, enthusiasm, whether it's positive energy or negative energy. Negative energy leads to high levels of anxiety and worry and all these things. And then it with the other low, falling into depression, falling into, say, some kind of boredom, absolute boredom, say, keeping away everything, feeling, try to become always alone. And again, that will lead to some kind of delusions and hallucinations. And that leads to different schizophrenia, say, condition. So in that way, you can generalize all these mental health issues, or because of mind going away from the reality. This high is also going away from the normalcy. Now, going away from normalcy means going away from reality. So, having a break with reality, resisting the reality is the main reason for mental health issues. If you resist the present reality, then, and that attitude continues, that mindset continues. If your attitude to resist the present reality, then you fall into these extremes of this, say, anxiety, or the other extreme, depression. High energy levels or the low energy levels. That is because you are resisting the reality. Reality means what? Reality of the present moment. Reality of what's happening now. So that is the main reason for many of the mental health issues. Rather, all the mental health issues. And you see, the mindfulness is exactly the opposite of it. You are not resisting the reality. You are accepting the reality. You are observing the reality. You are non-judgmental about the reality. You are curious about the reality, the present moment. That is what is mindfulness. So that art and science you cultivate. If the mind is resisting the present reality, the mind resists the present reality, then that is the mental illness, mental disorders. That's where the mental disorders start. Accepting the present reality, being curious of the present reality, observing the present reality, that is what is mindfulness. That way, mindfulness techniques are the authoritative approach, solution to this mind which is resisting the reality. And that mind which resists the reality, and it has become the habit pattern of the mind to resist the reality, then that's where the mind ends up in this kind of mental disorders, mental illnesses. So please understand this core say knowledge about mental health and mindfulness. Mental health or mental health issues, they are rooted in resisting the reality, and its solution, that is mindfulness, is rooted in accepting the reality, or being in the reality, or being mind. The mindfulness is nothing but bringing the mind to that being state. Being means like it is be. Be means like it is there, it is here. that kind of here-ness, being here, that state of mind is the solution to all this uh, present moment shying mind or the resisting mind, the mind which is resisting the present moment. So mindfulness is the only way for this mind which is shying away from the present moment, shying away from the reality. Please understand this. Because in the very definitions, in the very meanings of these two terms, mental ill health or mental diseases or mental say disorders and the mindfulness, they are rooted in this liking the moment or resisting the moment. So that ability of the mind to be in the moment, to go in flow with the present moment. That is what is mindfulness. And of course, now there are so many, scientific ways of learning mindfulness, and there are so many other religious ways of learning mindfulness. Many other religions also they are absorbing, they are trying to incorporate this mindfulness as one of the techniques in the religious, practices also. In medical practices also, they are making use of this mindfulness techniques. And what Buddha talks about this mindfulness in this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, that also we will see. As far as my understanding, what you are learning is the practical aspect of this Satipatthana only. These 4 techniques of establishing in the mindfulness. Those things we will see how these the 4 techniques and the 4 types of establishing in the mindfulness, which I find very authoritative and which is the right mindfulness, because it is based on right view. Again, the mindfulness can be practiced based on wrong view also. Based on wrong view also. For example, when I was in some other organization, again it's a spiritual organization, which was based on universal consciousness, universal oneness. There also we used to practice a lot of mindfulness techniques in the present moment. But the view is not the right. So the mindfulness is not so authoritative, not so profound, so deep, so correct, so right. So it helps, it works to a great extent, but it was not based on the right view, it was not supported by this right. So because of that, it was having its own weaknesses. The same way many many religious organizations also, they practice mindfulness based on some wrong views also. But still, it's okay. It works to great extent, or much extent, I can say, to handle the mind. But right view based mindfulness, that we have to understand, and that's what we are learning in all these different levels of meditation courses. And today we'll understand a little bit of this right view based mindfulness techniques, which can definitely, authoritatively, holistically, and integrated way, comprehensively, it can work on these mental health issues. That we will see today. Now, coming to the discourse that I have chanted now. So as I told you, it is called Mahasatipatthana Sutta. So here Buddha says there are 4 kinds of establishing in this mindfulness, and this the first one is Kayanupassana. Kayanupassana means being aware of the physical movements, and anything that is physical, you have to be aware. And that is what is called Kayanupassana. Then he talks about Vedananupassana. It is like subtle body, subtle kaya. Because when you close your eyes and when you stop say using other senses, like one is eyes, other one is sounds, then you can experience without opening up to any other sense. Automatically the sensations in the body are the physical feelings, some pain, some itching, some throbbing. They're all the Vedanas, physical Vedanas. So you can call it as the subtle body. Even though the gross body, the flesh, skin, the other bodies, and other interaction with the other aspects of the nature. When you open your eyes, you see everything around. The nature, the people, everything. That also you're closing. You are not, your other senses also are closed. And of course, sounds are there, but you're not giving much importance to it. And when you're not using the senses and the body, but still there is one subtle body, that is Vedana, that is the physical feelings. That is the subtle aspect of your body. And when you learn how to be aware of those physical feelings as they are, when you are aware of the gross body, the flesh and blood and bone, all these things, they constitute this body. When you are aware of the different movements of the body, if you are aware of that, different activities from the body, if you are aware of that, different interactions with the nature, with the surroundings, the external things that your body does, if you are aware of it, that is also Kayanupasana, mindfulness of the body. If you're using your physical senses and aware of the world, aware of the body, that is also Kayanupasana, external and internal. All this matter, external and internal. If you are aware, that is Kayanupasana. Kaya Anupasana. Kaya means body. Anupasana means seeing again and again, being aware of it as consistently as possible, as continuously, as consistently as possible. Pasana means seeing. Anu means again and again. That means consistent, continuously aware of the body, continuously aware of the body interactions with the world around you. That is what is called Kaya Anupasana, Kaya Anupasana. That you should master in this kind of the mindfulness also. Being mindful of the body's interactions with the world, the body movements, the body senses, like this eye sense, the hearing sense, the body movements, the body activities, the body's interactions with the world. And all these things, if you maintain that sampajana, that continuous awareness, sampajana means like awareness. Sampajana means like continuous awareness, correct and continuous awareness. If you maintain, then it becomes Kayanupasana. The mindfulness of the body and body activities within and without also. Its interaction with the world also. Ajjatta Bahidava. So, by the body as it is, what it is doing, that is that awareness, and its interaction with the world, and the awareness and the mindfulness of how the body is interacting with the world. If these things, if you are mindful, then it is the first level of awareness. That is, I can't say first level of awareness, that is one approach, one dimension to awareness. That's also very, very important. That it's very easy also, because the body is grass. Being aware of the grass things is relatively easy. So that kind of mindfulness is Kayanupasana. Being aware of the body continuously, again and again, consistently. That is what is Kaya Anupasana. Pasana means seeing or aware. Anu means again and again, continuously. Kaya means body. So again and again, you are aware of the body and body activities, body interaction, both inside and outside. That is what is Kaya Anupasana. How one can practice this? How Buddha has classified this Kaya Anupasana into different ways, different kinds of Kaya Anupasana practice. First, he talks about the breath is also a part of the body. So when you inhale, the body expands. When you exhale, the body contracts to some extent, the rising and falling of the abdomen. So are this movement of breath coming in, breath going out, that you can be aware. And again, of course, there are some 16 steps of the awareness of the breath coming in and breath going out. And this very simple observation, simple anupasana, simple mindfulness, simple satipatthana, mindfulness, this itself is good enough to calm down the mind, to come out of this habit pattern of the mind, to resist the present moment. Resisting the reality, it's becoming the norm of the present world. People in their too much thinking, too much analysis, too much comparison, too much competition. They started thinking too much, planning too much, imagining too much, and that's how they are shy. They are shying away from the present. They are resisting the present. So to come out of this habit pattern of the mind, where you are resisting the present. So this is one of the powerful approaches, powerful mindfulness approaches to be with the breath. It's simple because mind always wants some excitement. Why we think so much, why we plan so much, there is some excitement. Excitement that will inflate your ego, that gives them some excitement, some new ideas you are getting that excites you. You don't get new ideas when you're addicted to this kind of thinking, new things, and if you don't get new ideas, then you fall into disappointment. And if these exciting ideas, if you can't put it into practice and if you can't get the results of it, again you fall into depression, you fall into low. And that's why this too much, say, imagining, too much thinking, too much planning. And if you're addicted to it, if you're habituated to and addicted to it, then there is a danger of shying away from the present reality. And that leads to the highs and lows in your energy levels. And that leads to the mental health and also, of course, the physical health issues also. Like insomnia, and of course, so many things I repeat. Most of our physical health issues also, they are rooted in this mind. If the mind is resisting the reality, then you will experience more of these mental health and physical issues. If it's accepting the reality, it is flowing with the present moment, accepting and being with it, then you can keep your mind calm and also the body calm. This is the say the core understanding of both these mental health issues and the power of mindfulness in sorting out or in fixing these mental health issues. Okay. So in that way, being with the breaths and noting each and every breath, though it may be initially it may be very boring, and the mind again, crazy mind which is habituated, which is say addicted to excitements in thoughts and feelings and emotions. It loses or it will not develop interest in being with the breaths. But once you go and start settling your mind a bit at least with the breaths, then you start experiencing what is called that samatha sukha, or the happiness of calmness, happiness of tranquility, happiness of equanimity. That happiness is far, far superior than the happiness of exciting the mind with some, say, plans or emotions or ideas. So the excitement, happiness that you get from this kind of distorted mental thinking or shying away from the present moment, the mind shying away from the present moment, whatever happiness you get, that is far, far inferior when compared to the happiness that you derive when you're stilling the mind and the breaths, when you're stilling the mind and the present breaths, the breaths that are happening now, here and now. And if the mind is going in tune with this, and there the mind achieves a lot of that samatha sukha, the happiness of tranquility, happiness of equanimity. That happiness, when you realize that is far, far superior, then you got it. You can come out of all these kinds of, say, mental health issues, mental disorders, and you are free from this shying away of the mind from the present realities, and it starts appreciating and it starts liking being in the present. So that is the first approach Buddha has given in this Kayanupassana, being aware of the body. Of course, breath is also a part of the body. If the breath comes, there is some change in the body, it expands. If the breath goes, there is some change in the body, it contracts. So that's how you can see this expansion and contraction in the body, the rise and fall of the abdomen and the chest. You keep on being with this, say, these two changes in the body that happens continuously, regularly, and if the mind gets tuned to this, this regular, continuous changes of the movements in the body, then you establish in this present reality. That is what is mindfulness. Then you start liking it because it gives superior happiness. After all, the mind thinks and does 1 million things in the pursuit of happiness. If it loves the happiness is there here and now, in being with this present breath itself, I get all the happiness. Then why these people jump to so many other nonsense? It stops. And that's how we should train the mind to be in the present breaths. And of course, Buddha explains the different 16 steps of this anapana. And of course, one should start it so that you start in your meditation level 1 itself. Right view meditations level 1 itself you start. But that is not so easy because this is so subtle. The breath coming, breath going out is so subtle, and we are not used to take our mind inwards to see these breaths coming and breath going out. The mind is always carried away, or it is like, say, habituated to see the things external. So to change that habit pattern of the mind to say from external to internal, that is being with the breath, it is not so easy. That's why what you have started learning, you started learning so many other things like the mind, breath, body coordination, movements, because being with this grass body relatively easy. So grass body and the breath and the say mindfulness, like making some sound, all these things, if they go together, then it will be relatively easy for you to be with the body, to be with the breath, by using the mind and mindfulness and linking it, aligning it with the body and the breath. It will be relatively easy. So that's why you started mind, breath, body coordination movements. Again, it's a very say basic step, very easy step to bring your mind to the present breath, to the present body movement. So in that way, you are training your mind in all these awareness meditations or awareness exercises to be with the body, to be with the breath. And that way, you are learning how to enjoy the superior happiness of being in this present moment. Body always will be in the present moment. Breath always will be in the present moment. Only the stupid mind, it will jump away from this present moment. So when you learn how to bring back this mind towards the breath, towards the body, then it will also learn how to be in the present moment. So in that way, you are teaching, you are training your mind to come out of this jumping habit, thinking that there is happiness somewhere there. That is all foolishness, you see. That is where actually all the problems start. This mind thinks happiness somewhere there. That's why it jumps. Otherwise, it won't jump. If it realizes that the happiness is here in the breath, in the present moment, in the body, if it realizes, then it will not jump. That realization is important. Making the mind to realize it is important. That's what you are doing in all this mindfulness training programs. That's what Buddha says. So train your mind to be with your breaths, then automatically you can be free from dukkha domanasana, samatikkamaya, soka paridevanan samatikkamaya, dukkha domanasana attangamaya. You can just come out of dukkha domanasa, you can come out of soka parideva. Soka means shoka, like grief. Parideva means lamentation. All these things are different kinds of mental health issues only that Buddha is talking about. He is the greatest scientist of the mind, or the mental health actually, in a way. So in that way, so you have to learn how to be with this body, be with these breaths, then your mind will learn how to be in the present moment. And it will lose interest in unnecessary planning and imagining, all that nonsense. Then you may say, then how to survive in this world without planning, without imagining something? We have to compete with the world. Everything depends on our ideas. And if you don't think how we get ideas, how we get creative ideas without thinking, without imagining, without competing with others. By being with the present moment only, your mind will get the creative ideas. I assure you, if you want to really compete with the world, you should learn how to be in the present moment. That present moment mind, the mind in the present moment only will give you, or it will say from that mind only, these creative ideas, solutions, whether all kinds of solutions for all kinds of problems will emanate from that tranquil mind, from that equanimous mind, from that still mind only. All these solutions or the ideas will come out. as I used to give several times, uh, the solution for the Archimedes to find out how much, say, inferior metal is there in one of the, say, crowns. The king ordered. So he struggled so much by thinking, worrying, and planning, but he couldn't get it. When he just said, let go, when he just relaxed by jumping into a swimming pool, then the mind got the ideas or the solution. From that relaxed mind only the solution came. So in that way, I can give hundreds of examples. You might also experience. So, and of course, you can think consciously, you try to find out, but when you learn how to calm down your mind from that thinking, from that using the mind so much, and it should not go beyond your control. Your thinking should be under your control. Imagining should be under your control. Then, if it comes to more control, being in the exact present moment with the body and the breath, then from there, you just see how all beautiful ideas, beautiful solutions will evolve, will emanate from the mind. In that way, this is assurance again, not only to fix your mental health issues, even to get the solutions to all your problems. This is the way. What is the way? Being in the present moment, bringing back the mind, not shying away from the reality and the present. That is the way. So that you can develop with this anapana, with this being a breathing meditation also. That's what is the assurance given by Buddha in this first aspect of Kayanupassana, being aware of the body, mindfulness of the body. That is Kaya. The second thing is Iryapata. Iryapata means like different postures of the body. There are mainly 4 postures of the body: sitting, standing, walking, lying down. So in all these 4 postures of the body, you should be aware of the body. That's what you learn in your, say, meditation level courses also. In walking meditation, you are aware of walking. In eating, say, in all other activities, in bathing, you should be, of course, that I will come a little later. So at least in these 4 postures, if you are aware, when you are sitting, you should be aware. Many people are so much carried away in their thinking, in their worrying, or in their planning, that they're not aware whether they are sitting or how their body is. Because this mind is so grasped, so, say, carried away in some other thoughts, some other emotions, some other feeling. It loses that very idea of what the body is doing. Same way, when you're standing, you should be aware you're standing. When you're walking, you should be aware you're walking, how these leg movements are going on. And when you're lying down, you should be aware in what way you are lying down. Again, there are different postures in lying, and you should be aware in which posture you are there. That way, if you maintain a complete, sustained, continuous awareness of your body postures, then also you are learning that sampajano, the continuous awareness of how the body is in its posture, in which posture it is there. So that is also one way of practicing the mindfulness that you can practice in this walking meditation. So if you are into this walking meditation, and then automatically in all other postures also the mind will learn that awareness. When you're standing, will be aware. When you are thorough in walking meditation, then your mind learns how to be with the leg movements, then automatically it will be aware. When you're standing also, it will be aware. When you're sitting, it will be aware. When you're lying down, it will be aware. And of course, you should put forth some effort in noting the body postures all the time. Then it is called Iryapata. That is, Iryapata means the postures of the body. And postures of the body should be aware. That is what is, again, the instruction of it. Though it looks very simple. What is this nonsense? Why should we be aware of the breath? All the time it comes and goes. All the time body is there. Body will be in either one of these 4 postures. Why should we be aware? There are great things to do. Thinking about the rocket science, thinking about some great philosophical idea or some great scientific idea. In that way, I spend my time. Why this nonsense of being with this body, being with this breath?
Many people think like that. That is not wisdom. The wisdom is, of course, your profession. If it is like that, you have things like think, but it should not go uncontrolled. When you decide to come back to the present moment, you should come back. That is the problem happening in the world. We are using the things so much, the mind so much, it is going uncontrolled. That is the biggest problem happening. One of our, when I was very young, one of our teachers used to say, you buy one car, but you learned, say, by going through the manual, how to drive that car, how to use different gears, steering, everything you learned about that accelerator, everything. But you have not learned how to, say, press the brake and stop the vehicle. You learned every other aspect of driving the car, but you have not learned how to stop the car. Then you thought by going and hitting some tree or some building, that is the only way to stop the car. That's what is happening with regard to our usage of the mind now. People are using the mind so much, but they don't know how to stop using the mind. So they don't know how to stop using the mind with this mindfulness practice. Then what happens? They end up in the mental disorders. Too much working of the mind, it will end up in the breakdown of the mind. That is what is mental disorder. They end up in hallucinations, they end up in delusions, they end up in depression, they end up in OCD, obsessive compulsive disorders, they end up in autism. They're all like breaking down of the mind, different ways of breaking down of the mind. All these mental health disorders, it's like breaking down. Why they are breaking down? Because you don't know how to stop the vehicle. You don't know how to stop your car, stop your mind. Stopping or being in the present moment, they are one and the same actually. In Newton's first law, I remember, whether an object is in uniform motion or whether it is, say, static or whether it is in rest, they're one and the same. All the laws of physics, they're same for an object which is going in a uniform motion, uniform speed, uniform velocity. So mindfulness is like going in the uniform speed with the present moment. It is as good as stopping. In that way, if you learn mindfulness, then it is as good as stopping your mind. It is as good as bringing the mind to complete control. So if you don't learn this, then you end up in accident. Then you end up in going and hitting some vehicle, some other object like tree or some boulder or some building, and then you damage your vehicle. That's what is happening in the present world, where people, they don't know how to stop this thinking and planning and say imagining. So if they don't know how to stop thinking these things, then automatically it goes uncontrolled and it becomes a disease, mental health disease, like your schizophrenia or autism, all this nonsense, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. You're obsessive in your thinking. Repeatedly, you got carried away. You become obsessed with that kind of thinking. And that kind of obsessiveness in thinking will lead to compulsiveness in your actions also. You are repeatedly doing some actions, though you don't feel like doing it, though it is unintentional, you are doing it. That means unintentional doing is nothing but uncontrolled doing. Unintentional thinking means it is uncontrolled thinking. That's how it becomes a mental health disease, mental health disorder, because you don't know how to control and stop it. So in that way, mindfulness is the art of controlling and stopping this uncontrolled thinking, uncontrolled imagining, planning. So all this too much thinking, too much imagining, planning, or worrying, it's because of the external influences of the internal reasons are also there. And many external reasons like competition, or like say, of course, that's how the world is present the world. Let it be there. When you have to be competitive, be competitive. But at the same time, learn how to revert back, how to roll back, how to unwind, how to go to your own mind, how to go to your own body, how to go to your own breath. Learn this, and that's possible by learning this different mindfulness techniques. So that is what is the Iryapatha. Iryapatha means being aware of the different postures of the body. Then comes Sampajana Bhavam. That means like being aware of all the bodily activities. When you're eating, being aware of eating. When you are, when you are in all activities. When you are bathing, you be aware of your bathing. When you are drinking, be aware of your drinking. So all these simple things, don't ignore. Or don't try to do so many things simultaneously. Multitasking without control. While eating, watching TV, and while doing so many other nonsense things and trying to eat. All these things are, say, uncontrolled thinking. So, in one other sutta, Buddha says, while eating, completely be in while eating. While listening, completely be in listening. That completely be in one thing of the present moment. That is the way to liberate your mind. In that way, he gives one very small discourse of just 2 lines, half a verse, just 2 lines. Then that intelligent disciple grasped the essence, the beauty of that, the power of mindfulness, power of being completely into the present moment. And he became an arahant within a fraction of a second by completely grasping the power of mindfulness, power of being in the present moment. By utilizing all his senses, all his mind, mental powers, and bringing them into the one present activity, like simple hearing, simple tasting, simple, say, awareness of one bodily physical feeling, or simple awareness of how the posture is, or in that very present, the physical awareness or the physical sense awareness, that itself was good enough for many of the disciples to become arahants, to become completely pure, to become completely happy, to become completely peaceful, to become completely free from the defilements and become arahants. So that much power is there in training the mind to be in the present moment. Please understand this. There is no other shortcut. This is the future. This is the solution. This is the absolute solution. And this is what even the children should learn, because all these mental health disorders, that's what I heard, that's what I was just going through. So these different scientific, observations, researchers, the people starting from 14 years, this is becoming a problem. Adolescence, the beginning of adolescence itself, the mental health issues are, say, are becoming prominent. And at this, by the time of 25, most of the mental health diseases are, say, you can see between this age group nowadays. Well, if the children don't learn this, then there is a great danger of getting trapped or getting affected by these mental health diseases. That's why we are planning to have some student programs also to teach these different ways and means of establishing in the mindfulness, not being carried away in this competition, in this jealousy, in this comparison, in this overpowering, overtaking, say, the stupidity or stupidness of the world. So these youngsters between the range of 14 and 25, they are more prone to these mental health diseases. Of course, later also people will stay affected by these mental health diseases. But this is the most prone zone, 14 to 25. So in that way, this is the future. The mindfulness training is the future, and authoritative mindfulness. And teaching mindfulness is also not easy. That's why, though I am planning to have, say, start some teachers training programs, but I'm taking little time because the people who are going to teach, they should thoroughly establish this mindfulness, and then only they can authoritatively teach and help others. If they themselves are imperfect, then whatever they teach, it will create more problems than helping people. It will harm people. But definitely we will work on this, and today's meeting also about this teachers training, and definitely we should have more and more teachers. But the correct approach to mindfulness, correctly understanding and learning mindfulness from different angles, from different perspectives, from different dimensions, is also very, very important, because each individual's mind, it may require some approach, some specific approach to tackle its limitation, its weakness, and come back to normalcy, come back to mindfulness. If you give some other mindfulness techniques in a wrong way, if they don't fit into, they don't match, then it will create more problem. Just like during Buddha's time, Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta Bante, he gave one wrong object of meditation. It didn't work to one of his disciples, and he had to struggle more. He has to go. He has to face a lot of stress when he's practicing meditation. That is the problem of wrong meditation objects, wrong techniques, which are not suitable for that particular mantra. That's why learning so many mindfulness techniques, and then oneself can find out the suitable technique, and also by discussing with the teacher, one can find out the suitable meditation or mindfulness technique. So that is important. That's why the teacher should have the overall perspective of mindfulness, different kinds of mindfulness, and to gauge different people's, their limitations, their suitability, the suitability of different mindfulness techniques to different kinds of people. All this overall approach one should have. That's why this kind of authoritative, systematic way of learning of mindfulness by knowing the 4 faculties of the mind, that is very, very important. So practicing this kind of, of course, there are so many other, say, Kayanupassana techniques, then Vedananupassana techniques, then Chittanupassana, observing the mind as such, as it is, the different feelings, emotions of the mind, and then Dhammanupassana. Dhammanupassana, the truths of the mind, the realities of the mind, the wisdom of the Buddha. That is what is Dhamma. The wisdom of Buddha is Dhamma, about the mind. Whatever Buddha has given us the wisdom, that is called Dhamma. So understanding Dhamma and knowing the Dhamma of the mind, one's own mind as it is, that is also one kind of mindfulness, and that is Dhammanupassana. So all these 4 anupassanas and establishing in this mindfulness 4 kinds of mindfulness, that is what is anupassanas. That is what is your this Satipatthana, establishing in the 4 kinds of anupassanas, 4 kinds of mindfulness, 4 kinds of sati is Satipatthana. So those things we will see maybe in future programs, future talks, future sessions. Now, so what is the essence of this mental health and mindfulness? Mental health is shying away from the present reality. Mental health issues, they arise because the mind is shying away from the present reality. Mindfulness is the opposite. It is developing interest, curiosity, and superior happiness in being in the present. That is what is the mind. So if the mind is shying away, apply this mindfulness techniques and teach this the mind to know the superior happiness, superior wisdom, superior peace in the present. So that's what you are learning in your courses also. Whatever you are learning, not just these awareness meditations, which are nothing but the mindfulness techniques. Even the wholesome feelings like metta, karuna, mudita, upekka, they're also so wholesome, so comprehensive that you can calm down your mind and you can bring back your mind to the present moment. If you thoroughly practice these 4 wholesome Brahma Viharas also, if you practice up to upekka thoroughly, then you can reach, Buddha says, 4th jhana, which is the most say authoritative, mindful state of mind. So from there, actually, one can enter into different kinds of insights, and one can get Nibbana also from the 4th jhana. So one can achieve even with these wholesome feelings like metta, karuna, mudita, upekha also. You can bring your mind to absolute presence, absolute present moment, even with these wholesome feelings also. That's why I have to teach this, because many people who are feeling oriented, like love, compassion, for such people, this may be so interesting and so, they start liking this wholesome feelings also. And they too can achieve up to fourth jhana, and they may start getting insights, and they may come out of all kinds of mental health issues also. That's possible. So many cases, it's far more authoritative than your awareness techniques. In the same way, the Iddhipada, through some right faith, through some right confidence, through some right energy, right actions, through right energy. So that also will bring your mind to very stable, very equanimous, very mindful. It will bring your mind to the present moment. So even learning and mending and fixing the problems of the third part of the mind, that is the reacting mind, through this Iddhipada, through this confidence building technique, that will also bring your mind to the present moment. In that way, you are maintaining mindfulness. You are establishing in mindfulness. That also works in so many cases. For so many people, it is very, very suitable. And of course, these things now in the medical world also, they're using these techniques. Like say, there is one therapy called ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. In addition to, there is something called mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, where they're promoting the mindfulness as a therapeutic system. And in this acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, they're teaching this kind of faith and this kind of acceptance, this kind of loving kindness and this kind of feelings also, and bringing their mind to the present moment. That is also one way of bringing the mind to the present moment. That also increases your mindfulness, even your right feelings, right commitments, right truthfulness, confessions, commitment, truthfulness, speaking out whatever has happened to you and the negative, your mistakes, your limitations, everything you speak out, the mind becomes empty, and you will come to the present moment. Pondering over the same mistake will go away, and that is one of the main reasons for many of the mental diseases. Many suicidal thoughts also come because your mind is pondering in the mistake that you have done. Then you don't feel that self-worth, then you thought of dying. That is what is suicidal thoughts. That is because of not having that acceptance and commitment, that confession and commitment and being truthful. So in that way, there is a therapy. I was just a little surprised by seeing how these medical people also are making use of this mind-building techniques, like these wholesome feelings, like this. Of course, in their own way, they're using it. I don't know how authoritative they are, but they're using it. That itself is a good sign, like this acceptance and commitment therapy. And there's something called positive psychotherapy, where you are trained with this Iddhipada, this confidence building, making the mind more positive, coming away from these negative thoughts to establishing in these positive thoughts, these affirmations. Let go, I will do all this, my choice, willpower improvement, and this acceptance, all these things, how can be improved with these affirmations, positive affirmations. Just say, when you say let go, then all this negative thinking will go away. If it is very positive affirmation, then your mind will come to the present moment. Oh, this will also change. That kind of affirmation, positive affirmation, if you keep on giving to your mind, then the trap of that negative thinking, you will be escaped from the trap, and you can come back to this present moment. In that way, a lot of affirmations, a lot of say acceptance techniques, in the form of Iddhipada, a lot of these positive, the present day mantras, like let go, let it be. In some cases, definitely they work, because the mind is like, say, we can't gauge the different minds the same measuring scale, the same parameter, we can't measure. So in that way, that is different techniques that we are adopting. These medical people also in their own way they are doing it. But in these different courses, it is
Of course, it is very systematically. You might have observed how they are designed and how they can be applied. So, in that way, the different four faculties of the mind uh, that we are working on and developing. But in many medical uh, therapeutic systems, the last part, the fourth part of the mind, and the different techniques, like the right perceptions, like this right knowledge perception, like your Four Noble Truths, Asukha and Sukha, what is Anicca and Nicca, what is beautiful and not beautiful, Asubha and Subha, and what is the last one. Of course, it's a little more deep. So that I have not seen in any of these medical therapies. That is very, very powerful. If your mind thoroughly knows this is suffering, this is the cause of suffering, craving is the cause of suffering. So most of these, again, these mental health issues are rooted in craving only. Why the mind goes again and again? Because it craves for something. That's why all these plannings and worries, again and again the mind goes because of the deep-rooted craving. That is the cause of your suffering. If the mind is very clear, then automatically it tries to keep away. And then it starts learning the opposite. How best I can give, how best I can help, how best I can serve. That kind of attitude you will get. So in that way, this right knowledge or right perception is also one kind of powerful therapy, and that will increase again the mindfulness. When the mind is in the craving mode, then thinking will be more, then planning will be more. When the mind is in the giving mode, then the action will be more. You plunge into action. When you're into action, then there is no much scope and room for your thinking and worrying. And that the giving up in action, in doing something, it again gives you tremendous inner happiness. That you come out of all that kind of thinking or worrying, which are again based on craving, that you can come out. In that way, this right knowledge, right perception also you are learning in your different courses, again, which will bring you back to the mindfulness, which will again make you the mindful of the present moment, will establish you in this being state, the mind. Being means being in the present moment. And that is the way to come out of all this nonsense of mental health issues. In that way, all our mind culture techniques are rooted in bringing the mind to the present moment. That is what is mindfulness. And that is the way to come out of all these mental health issues, because all mental health issues are rooted in uncontrolled mind. They're rooted in the inability of an individual to control the mind. It is resisting the reality. By resisting the reality, you end up in the mental health issues. By accepting the present reality and being in the present reality is the solution to all the mental health issues, which is nothing but mindfulness techniques only. So that's what is today's talk about the mental health and mindfulness. The core philosophy, the core knowledge, the core understanding is very simple. Mental health issues are rooted in resisting the reality, and mindfulness techniques are rooted in appreciating, being, and tuning with the present. Okay, so that's about today's talk. As usual, if you have some questions, you can ask. We will continue this because there's a lot of stuff to learn in this. Because as I was telling you, it's very important also. The future pandemic is mental health issues. So now, 1 in 10, they say there are a lot of statistics in different parts of the world, but in all countries, whether they're developed countries or developing countries or even underdeveloped countries, mental health has become an issue. So, to work on it, this is the most authoritative right mindfulness techniques. One should learn, should go deep and deep into this right mindfulness techniques, come out of all the future problems and the present problems of the mental health. Okay, if you have some questions, you can ask, then we'll continue.
No questions?
Vanda mein Bhanti ji.
Sadhu.
There are no questions.
Okay. So we'll conclude. So from next month, from September 11th, we have series of this mindfulness training techniques for all these 4 components of the mind. And encourage your friends, your relatives, your family members, because this is the future. There's no doubt in it. There is no second thought in it. This is the best gift you can give to your near and dear ones. So there should be some skillful means to encourage them, to register them. Simply sending the message will not help. Talk to them, you should tell them about the importance of this. You should tell how it has helped you, if it is really some use to you. Then only they get inspired. Because generally people are not aware of these things. They want some say, person who is using this, who is say, really benefited by this. Then only they get that inspiration. That kind of confidence you should build. That is the duty of all the meditators who have gone through these things, and of course the coordinators, volunteers also. In that way, you should give actually the best gift, because it will help you and it will help them now and also in the future. So with that understanding, work on this. See that more and more people you register, you enroll them. We'll start this mindfulness movement. We will take up this mindfulness movement in a bigger way, because this is the future. Okay. So with that, we'll conclude. Of course, small chant. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyan nidukho ahang nicca ahang viya ida chame sukhi hontu majjata chatavedino imam hi gammante dhamme satta hontu sukhi sada tato parancarajjesu chakkavale sujantano sadhu sadhu sukhi hontu.